government of Clifton Forge. Although we enjoy a very cordial, friendly relationship, we support them and they do support us. So now I'd like to go ahead and introduce Chuck Unroe, who you know, our town manager. Amanda is first. Chuck has told me Amanda is first. We're going to hear virtually from Amanda McGee. She is with the Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission, and she's going to be here on the screen to speak to us about the strategic plan.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Great. So yes, I'm Amanda McGee. I work for the Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission, and I'm here to talk to you about the Clifton Forge Community and Economic Development Strategic Plan. Let's see if my slides cooperate with me. Aha! So I wanted to start by introducing who the Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission is, because it's a mouthful and many people may not have heard of it. So you will notice in the room, Brian Hill, who is one of our other planners, is present tonight. So he is also there to take questions. We are a planning district commission, which means that we provide assistance, technical assistance to multiple localities, and you can see the map of all the different localities that we work with. So we're all the way down in Franklin County, and of course up here in Clifton Forge. And Clifton Forge is a member government to us, so we have worked on several projects with you in the past, and in fact, Brian has worked most recently on your most recent comp plan update, which is what generated this project. So what is a strategic plan? A lot of folks may not be familiar with this as a concept. So this is a focused planning effort. This is a community plan, so we're looking at key community issues. In this case, economic development is one of your key issues. Community and economic development is the goal of the plan. And you're looking at a short-term planning window, so not a longer-term kind of vision plan, the way that a comp plan is, a comprehensive plan is. You're looking at 1 to 5 years as your planning window, and you're looking for actionable items that will create real change in your community. So that is the goal of this process. So looking for clearly scoped out projects that can easily become grant applications or incentivize new partnerships with developers. That's the kind of project that you're looking for. So where are we in this process? Our staff have had meetings with your staff, your Director of Community Development, and of course Chuck, your town manager. And we have done some initial stakeholder engagement with folks in the Clifton Forge community. And now we're doing some public outreach. And in fact, we're in the middle of a public survey. I'll have more information on that in a minute, but definitely looking for input directly from residents of Clifton Forge and folks who are part of your community to figure out what these key opportunities are for your community. So then there will be some more data collection that happens, and be a town council work session, and then you'll move through the typical process of drafting, adoption, and implementation. What have we heard so far? I mentioned that we have already had at least one stakeholder meeting in your community. So from those conversations, we've seen that you have a lot of strengths. And this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody in the room. You've got lovely historic character. Obviously, the Masonic Theater is a good example of this. Small town charm, a vibrant arts community, a lot of access to outdoor recreation, and just like folks really appreciated the quality of the community itself and the relationships that y'all have. And then for weaknesses, housing affordability, again, that is not probably a surprise to anybody in the room. That's an issue across our region, so it's not particular to Clifton Forge, but it is a challenge that you're facing. Underutilized properties in your downtown area, limited amenities, and then challenges for new new businesses, excuse me. So if all that sounds right to you, that's great. If it doesn't sound right to you, you have the opportunity to provide input. So please take the survey. You can see the QR code is up here. The survey closes on October 31st. Brian, as I mentioned, is there tonight, and he has flyers and print copies of the survey that you can either take home with you or fill out if you have time before you leave. So please take the survey, and if you have any questions, here's our contact information, and we're happy to answer or point you in the right direction.
That mean I'm up? Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Well, downtown is hopping tonight. It is packed. It's an all festival weekend. It's going to be great weather, big crowds. Hope everybody gets to come out and enjoy it. And Sandra is correct. The paving operations in town continue and will be continuing through the next several weeks until we get all of the paving projects caught up and completed. So just bear with us a little bit on those detours that don't take you where you need to be, but the end result is going to be much improved streets for us to travel on. Maria and I are going to keep our comments tonight very brief so that you can get on to the main reason you're here this evening, and that is to meet and talk with your candidates for the Board of Supervisors. Both districts, the West and East District in Clifton Forge, have open seats coming in December, and we can fill those in the election next month. And to be able to talk with your candidates one-on-one is a big help in that election process. Just a few things. The first thing I want to do is, I know all of you have noticed the walls going up toward Kroger's, up the hill toward Kroger's, around Mountain View Cemetery, down the other side, or Crown Hill Cemetery, and down the other side of Main Street. Had some work done on them about 2 weeks ago. Big shout out to Garland Humphreys and his group at Highlands Realty LLC. Not only did they take that on as a project that they wanted to sponsor and identified as a project that needed to be done to brighten up our entry into town from the east end, but they fully funded that project. They hired the contractors, they bought the paint, they had the equipment. That was a project that they wanted to do and give to the town to make that corridor into downtown look better and clean it up. And a big shout out and a big thank you to them on behalf of everybody in Clifton Forge. It looks great up through there, and the sun shining on it just makes it even look that much nicer. I'm sure you've all seen the signs going up in town. Those are our wayfinding signs. This is the third phase of the uniform signage project through the Allegheny Highlands. All of these signs were selected years ago. All we had to do was approve the directional arrows on them and the locations for them. They were supposed to have been completely installed before this weekend, but due to some inappropriately configured posts for them, they had the signs turned to the right. They need to be turned to the left. They're having those remanufactured, and the completion for the ones in the main area of downtown will not be until the end of October or the very first week or so in November as they rebuild those posts. The signs are on site. We just need the correct post with the arms going the right way. And you'll notice that some of the signs that have been placed have tree limbs or small areas of brush or what have you in front of them. It's been so long since the locations for those signs were selected, that brush has grown since then. Public Works will go through and trim all of that back and make sure that you can see the signs unobstructed. And that will be on their list of projects to start next week once we get past this weekend. good news to report. Since we last met last month, we've had 3 new businesses open up in downtown Clifton Forge. 2 of which are right across the street at the Five Sides building. The Hot Stuff Coffee Shop is open. Good coffee, very good coffee. They open at 5 a.m., so if you're up early, taking your walk or whatever, you can stop in and get your cup of coffee. They've also opened up Wicked Wieners, their hot dog shop. They have not activated the tube that they're going to be serving those hot dogs through like the old bank tube used to be. But this weekend, the walk-up window, the walk-in customers will be open. They start serving hot dogs at 11 o'clock, I think. During the coffee time hours early in the morning, they do have breakfast sandwiches and goodies to go with that. More businesses coming to open up in that location: donut shop, restaurant, wine and cheese, vault and what have you. But we're really happy to announce that they're open and running. Another new shop across Ridgeway Street called Tiny Treasures Boutique. It's at 521 East Ridgeway. For those of you that don't know where that is, it's a little end building on the corner of Ridgeway Street and River Street. That's the hill that goes down the side of Mountain Field Market. And it's described as having unique finds, timeless pieces, and little treasures. And that's a local person, locally owned. So if you haven't been in and checked it out, it's a neat little shop. Go in and check it out and you might find something special in there. And Maria and I had the privilege to meet last week with another new business owner, and his plans are to open a business in the old Cafe Museo shop within the next couple of weeks. He has a real good business plan. I'm not going to share what his business plan is. That's for him to share with everybody. But we're really happy and optimistic that that's coming. So that will be 4 new businesses opened up within just a couple of months. And with negotiations and talks going on with other new businesses to come to downtown Clifton Forge. And then the last thing I have tonight, you all have heard us talk about some of these projects that we've had going on. And one of those projects that has been talked about is the possible purchase of the old CSX yard office building directly located across the street from Jack Mason's Tavern. I'm happy to announce tonight that we have reached a final purchase agreement with CSX. It's gone through the attorney process, it's gone through the title search process, and we have completed that purchase agreement through the EDA and with the support of the town council. And we will be closing on that project in the next 60 days to take ownership of that building. We're now in our due diligence period to do our environmental studies, structural studies, and survey of that building, so you'll see a lot of activity there. But that is a huge step forward. For that, we plan to help hopefully develop that into a boutique hotel for Clifton Forge. We've already got developers involved in the process. We've got our funding secured for the process, and once our 60-day due diligence period is up, we will move directly into the pre-development stage for that building. So you will see a lot of activity going on there. At that point, it is my privilege to introduce somebody you all know already, Maria Saxton, our Director of Planning and Community Development, to share some more good news that she has with you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to lower this a little bit so you guys can hear me all right. So we're really excited about the progress with the yard office building. We're working towards signing that agreement, and as Chuck mentioned, we'll be entering into our due diligence period. Also wanted to share a number of other updates for various projects and grant initiatives we're currently working on. Of course, the strategic plan, Amanda and Brian have been wonderful to work with. We have the community survey that's live. Responses will be collected until October 31st, so please take the survey, be a part of the project. We're also working to coordinate a work plan session between Planning Commission and Town Council. So that should be happening between now and the end of the year. The branding project, many of y'all have been involved with the branding project to date. Thank you for all of your efforts. Our consultants, Arnett Muldrow and Associates, held a public kickoff meeting on September 9th. And then next week, they will be coming back to do a series of themed roundtables. Then they'll be working on the draft plan that they will be sharing with the community. We also submitted a grant on August 20th to the Department of Housing and Community Development to do a downtown master plan. So the strategic plan is more focused on 1 to 5 year plans that we can offer to improve the economic development for Clifton Forge. The downtown master plan is focused on physical improvements to our downtown. So fingers crossed we get funded for that. We should hear back by the end of this calendar year. Business spotlight. So we want to launch a new initiative to highlight businesses in Clifton Forge. We plan to invite businesses to sign up on a first come, first served basis to work with myself and our intern from Virginia Tech to create a one-page flyer that would include information about their business, their services provided, hours, social media handles, and their website. The town would then post this on social media, and then we'll advertise this on the Allegheny Journal on behalf of the business. We want to highlight one business approximately every 2 weeks, and we look forward to working with you all. Please stay tuned if you're a business owner. We'll be reaching out shortly. Additionally, based off of feedback that we've received from various folks and business owners in town, there is a strong desire for seating in our downtown area. So we're working on solutions for that. Please stay tuned for any updates. We may be initiating a survey to receive input and get ideas. The housing needs assessment, many of y'all have probably taken the survey that we have live. That also will close on October 31st. If you've not seen this, please go to our website. It's listed there. We also have flyers throughout town and would really appreciate your feedback. And that project should wrap up by the end of the year or early January. And then the town is also part of a housing adopters program. We recently got admitted to this program. It's facilitated by the National League of Cities and the American Planning Association. We applied and were admitted to the program, and our local team roster includes representatives from town staff, town residents, Allegheny County, and the city of Covington. Essentially, it's an opportunity for us to learn from peer communities about what they've done to address housing solutions, and hopefully we can take those lessons and apply them here in Clifton Forge. 608 Main Street. We have been working on facilitating the stabilization of 608 Main Street. We have a team of contractors who are about ready to begin construction. It should begin within the next month. They're looking to replace the roof, replace the rear exterior wall, and stabilize the front facade. And these efforts are funded by 3 grants that the town has received. And then another grant update, we've been officially approved for the grant application to DCR for $148,000 for a restroom facility at the trailhead of Smith Creek in the Sensory Trail. So this will be located near the community gardens. Right now we're working on the various environmental and historical reviews that are required as part of this grant. In addition, we do have a public comment period open right now where we're collecting input on that project between now and October 31st. So if you have something you'd like to share with us, an opinion and a perspective that you think would be relevant to us, please reach out. Please submit an inquiry on our website. You should be able to find that under the announcements page on the main Town of Clifton Forge website. And then a few other quick things. The interpretive trail signs for green pastures have been completed and the sign frames have been delivered. A shout out to Bear Mountain Signs. They did a wonderful job at the signs. We're really happy with them and doubt that we'll be installing them in the next month. Additionally, yesterday we planned a free community rain barrel workshop. This was also in partnership with Aardvark. They've been huge advocates and great supports for our projects. We had some really great rain barrels that were decorated, all sorts of designs, and really enjoyed working with Aardvark on that, and thank you to all who showed up. That is all that I have. Thank you all so much.
Okay, a lot goes on behind the scenes that you may not know about, and this grant writing process, it takes a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of communication with different people. It's really, it's not easy to apply for grants, but we're so grateful that the grants are out there because they do so much for our community. It feels like we've got momentum going in Clifton Forge, and we're just on the cusp of some great things happening. The next part, let me look at my list here so I get it in the right order. Okay, the next part of our event tonight is going to be our candidate conversation, and we have 4 candidates here, at least I count 4 chairs. We've listed their names here, and we do that because these are all write-in candidates. That means that when you go to vote, you're going to need to know their first and last names to write in on a line because you won't be able to just check a box. Our facilitators for this part of the evening are Autumn Morgan, and Mac Beard. And at this point, I think I'm supposed to invite the candidates up, right? Okay. So y'all want to come on up? And they will introduce themselves in a minute, and then Autumn will do a little introduction on how this evening is going to go from here.
While they're taking their seats, I just wanted to make sure, when Amanda, she was the first speaker, she introduced Brian Hill. Brian stood up, but he's back here, so you have to turn around so you can see. This is Brian Hill, and he has brought the surveys and all kinds of things for you to look at before you leave tonight. Make sure if you haven't taken the survey, he has paper surveys for you.
Alrighty, guys. So welcome to our October Community Gathering Candidate Conversation. This evening we have 4 of the 5 candidates who are running as write-in candidates for 2 open seats on the Allegheny County Board of Supervisors. The Board of Supervisors are composed of 7 members from specific districts. 2 of the 7 are from the East and West districts of Clifton Forge. The board approves the policies that govern the operation of the county and is responsible for adoption of the budget, adoption of the capital improvement plan, setting the tax rates, and appropriating funds. The board appoints a county administrator who carries out the policies adopted by the board. We would ask that everyone turn their cell phones off and then put them away so we can have a better conversation. So the goal of our candidate conversation is to provide information about you guys and your thoughts so that Clifton Forge voters will be better informed when they go to the polls to vote. We have a selection of questions that we will ask each of you. We also have a few follow-up questions. All questions will have a time limit. When we are done with this part of the conversation, we will invite the candidates to exit the stage for continued informal conversations with attendees in the audience if there is time. On stage, you will each have 2 minutes to respond to the question and 1 minute for the follow-up questions. We will enforce that time limit. When you have 30 seconds left on your minutes, Mac will hold up a card. We're actually going to do 10 seconds. The candidates have decided 10 seconds is better for them. Mac will hold up the card for you to see, and you will quickly complete your sentence. I ask the audience to remain respectful, to listen carefully, and to refrain from excessive exuberance for or against a particular candidate. I ask the candidates to focus on what you believe. The purpose of this conversation is to present your own position. We will begin with introductions from each candidate that should last no longer than 1 minute. Our question is, why will you make a good candidate for Allegheny County Board of Supervisors? We'll start with Courtney Howard. Also introduce yourself with this.
Hi, my name is Courtney Howard. I'm born and raised in Allegheny County. I went to Emory Henry College. I moved away for a little bit, and then when we decided we were gonna have a family, we moved back here to start our family. I've been volunteering ever since we got back into Allegheny County. I've been an election worker, I've been on Allegheny Corps, I've been a worker with the Clifton Forge Juneteenth Committee. I joined Parks and Trails in 2022, and very quickly someone suggested that I would be a good chair. So I've chaired the Parks and Trails Committee since 2022. I'm also on the Branding and Marketing Task Force that was discussed earlier, and the Historic Masonic Theater Capital Campaign. So I like to get myself out there. I like to volunteer with the community because I think that we can really make a difference here. And I think that I would be a good candidate for the Board of Supervisors because I'm already putting my heart and soul into making our area a better place.
All right, thank you. So my name is Patty McAnally. I am not a lifelong resident of Clifton Forge. I'm a military brat, so I have lived all over the United States and Canada. That being said, I have a vast array of living in towns that have gone from being what Clifton Forge is today to what we would like to be in 20 years. Case in point, I lived in St. Augustine, Florida when it was 10,000 people, and when I moved away it was 350,000 people with 300,000 visitors a year. Okay, so big difference. I'm like Courtney, I moved to town, I said, okay, I'm retired, I'm bored. So I am now the Senior Vice President of the VFW Auxiliary in Covington. I am the past chaplain for them. I am also on Parks and Trails with Courtney. I am, let's see, what else am I in? Clifton Forge Women's Club. I read at the library. As a matter of fact, tomorrow morning I'm reading at Sharon Elementary School to kids in classes. Yeah, I stay very busy.
All right, well, thank you.
I am Shannon Miller Brantley. I use my full name because some people know my first name, some use my middle name, so I'm just using all names so that everyone knows exactly who I am. I am originally from Rockbridge County. My wife is from here in Allegheny County, and we met in college. We were gone for a brief period while I was in the U.S. Navy and settled back here in the area. I've been here in Clifton Forge for 30 years. I'm a graduate of Virginia Western Community College, Jefferson College of Health Sciences, and Liberty University. Again, I'm a U.S. Navy veteran. I currently volunteer for Hire Heroes USA to help veterans establish themselves, preparing for jobs, reviewing their resumes, helping their LinkedIn profiles, all the things that they need to do to gain employment. I'm also part of the Mountain Gateway IT Advisory Board, and I've been traveling the last 15 years or so as a consultant, and I've seen big cities and small towns, and so I just thought as I got a local job, I would start getting more involved in the community.
All right, thank you.
How y'all doing? My name's Dominique Washington. I've actually been a resident of Clifton Forge my whole life, actually. I felt like I needed to run and put myself in the position because I felt like things needed to be addressed in a different manner. The ideas that needed to be implemented needed to be fresh, and they needed to be real world and real time. And when I didn't see those things taking place and people kind of, I guess, piggybacking certain ideas and choosing what to support and what not to support, I felt like this position was a good idea, that from the top you can make better movement with your ideas and your agenda for the people. And I'm just privileged to be here currently. And yes, I just feel like the ideas that I have to bring to the table are what would benefit Allegheny County in the best way. And I do have those all written out, so I do thank you all and appreciate you all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're gonna head into our questions now. So we're gonna start with Ms. McInnet. Do it again. All right. 2 minutes for this question. What do you see as the most pressing challenges facing Clifton Forge's East and West districts right now? And how would you work to address them as a member of the Board of Supervisors?
So here in Clifton Forge, we don't have a lot of industry.
So economic development is the key thing. So many of our young people who are graduating from college or high school here have to leave in order to find good paying jobs. You'll see a lot of younger folks walking around town complaining about there's nothing to do for them, there's no place to work. And we don't want them to leave. So what we've got to do is figure out what kind of business will better suit our town that has good paying jobs and lots of them, right? So that is really our big thing. And then when we get that done, figure out what kind of jobs we want, we need to work with the schools and do workforce development at the high schools and the colleges to see if we can't come up with education to make sure that we're developing the workforce for whatever industry we're looking at, whether it's logistics or I don't know, doing something, right? Building computers, something that we could do. We sit on I-64 with a great truck route. It's easy. We should use it. We need to utilize that.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Brantley.
So I think several things tie together. I think it's economic, it's housing, it's training and development. I was at the ribbon cutting earlier this week at Mountain Gateway for the MG Tech IT Academy for the high schools. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity. I think some of these things like the Google Center that's coming over in our neighboring county here in Botetourt is an excellent opportunity. Again, the people would have to drive, but I think having these educational opportunities, finding housing here so that we can find people remote jobs. There are so many remote jobs across the country that we could keep our youth here, attract new people with our lower cost of living, finding these better housing opportunities so that they can use this education and training and find some of these remote jobs or some of these local jobs if we can attract something similar to Google to be here in the county. I think that's going to be one of the things we would like to address.
All right, so follow-up question on that one. What would be your first concrete step to address that?
I think housing is probably going to be one of the most important things. We have to have a place for the people to live, to attract them here, and then we can help work on getting these employment opportunities shored up and go from there.
All right, thank you. Mr. Washington?
Okay, so yes, income equality, inequality, economic disparities, yes. The cost of living versus median household income, yes. But from the ground up, we see addressing the youth and giving them that early opportunity for trades and different skills. Financial literacy is a big deal. I've already actually, about 3 years ago, I believe, something like that, I was talking to Mr. Chuck about working with the youth and getting them programs to have them ready for the workforce. But yes, I maybe should have stayed on them with that one or not drop that ball or whatnot as it was, when it was running or whatnot. But yes, so I've proposed plenty of different ideas, understanding that the youth, it is imperative that if we have opportunity for the kids, then the kids will not only want to be here, but they will be the engineers to engineer the new ideas and the better lifestyle and the quality of life later.
All right, thank you. Ms. Talbert.
So I agree with what everyone else has said. I think we're all pretty much on the same page about keeping the youth here, making sure that there's good jobs for everyone, bringing in industry. I think the other thing that we need to worry about is balancing that with our tourism, because a lot of people come here for the outdoors. They're not coming here to look at a bunch of industry. They're coming here because it's so beautiful and so peaceful, and we don't want to sort of infringe upon the natural beauty that we have. I think that we can really capitalize on the outdoor recreation. There's a lot of communities like in Southern California where there's a lot of tech industry where these young people move in to these facilities where it's not super expensive housing, they're working tech all day, and then they are outside rock climbing, they're kayaking, they're doing so much outdoors. And I think that pushing that as like a resource to get more young people and young families here, I think that's really imperative. And I think that the board can get on board with that by, helping with the chamber's initiatives, with the, work remotely and live locally, however that was worded. There's a lot of really great initiatives that we can back as the board.
All right, thank you. All right, so on to our next question. We'll start with Mr. Brantley. How do you envision supporting small businesses, local entrepreneurs, and efforts to revitalize downtown Clifton Forge while balancing the needs of existing residents?
That's an interesting question. I think with the all the great news we just got, some of these local grants that we're going to put in place, I think that's a great starting point. Trying to find that balance. That's a great question. So, so finding a way to repair some of these facilities in town that have been run down over the years, and we've made great strides. There's some buildings that are just like this one have been made beautiful again, and working to make the facilities better, to make the downtown a more attractive place, and then those entrepreneurs, those small businesses coming in, as we're already seeing, it just helps it grow. And I think those two things go back and forth off of one another.
Great, and follow up with this question would be, how would you balance new economic development with preserving Clifton Forge small town character?
Right, we don't want to lose the character for sure, and as Courtney was saying, we want to always highlight the natural beauty in the local area. Finding that balance, I think, through, just like we've said, the advertisements, the way we're going to promote this town through our signage, through our web presence, through all the things that we're doing right now to make it a more attractive place, and just trying to I'm not sure how I want to word this. No, I totally lost my train of thought. Sorry.
No
I'm out.
worries. All right. Mr. Washington, same question to you. How do you envision supporting small businesses, local entrepreneurs, and efforts to revitalize downtown Clifton Forge while balancing the needs of existing residents?
Okay, so it's slightly tricky when you talk about it and you discuss it. You go from incentivizing businesses coming here with granted tax dollars when you're wanting the business to add to the economy tax dollars. So the main thing to do is to consider who's bringing the business here, whether or not they're paying a living wage, because if the business is paying a living wage, then we have people fully engaged and participating economically in the community, and then therefore the ideas, the hiring, the spawning of new business, that's incentivizing business enough to find a good morale amongst working people, amongst the people wanting to work. And this place has really needed a wage that supports the people and an individual. And if we address that, I think then definitely businesses not only will want to come here, but people will be readying themselves for industry here. And then if not, we'll be the creators of new industry here. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now, how would you balance that economic development with preserving small town character?
Hey, thank you so much. Actually, indeed, ma'am, building is slightly infringing on what some people appreciate around here. And yes, preserving our area. I'm an outdoorsman. I hunt, fish, hike, and yes, ma'am, with the Boy Scouts, we are all over the mountains. And indeed, there's the tourism here, to me, is the primary industry for our area that gains the most consensus and appreciation and infringes on everyone equally the least. You know what I'm saying? So, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hunt? Of course. How do you envision supporting small businesses, local entrepreneurs, and efforts to revitalize downtown Clifton Forge while balancing the needs of existing residents?
Okay, so the focus on Clifton Forge itself leads me into the delicate balance between the county and the town, because so much that the town is doing, you know, they're incentivizing, they're doing grants. You know, sometimes people get a little confused on where the line exists between the county and the town. So I think, excuse me, I think the county can do a lot more to help Clifton Forge. I think the way that the relationship has worked so far, the town is really handling, you know,
planning and working on all of these grants, and I know that the county does help out some, but I think we can work on the county stepping forward a little bit more, and I think that we can create more of a voice in the county to get that assistance. And I think the balancing between bringing in industry and between the residents who are here and all of the businesses that we already have, I think that that's going to be just a difficult line to sort of like walk. But I think that it's possible. I think that we can always work with more direct communication. We can always do more polls and surveys. I'm a big person with polls and surveys, if you've ever paid attention to the Parks and Trails page, just to make sure that people feel like their voice is heard when anything new is going on, when there's new industry coming in, when there's anything at all that we need to talk to people about. We can always ask their opinion. We don't have to just assume that we know what's best for other people.
All right, and then follow up with that is, how would you balance new economic development with preserving Clifton Forge's small town character?
So I think the small town character in Clifton Forge is just so essential because it's what people come here for. People don't come here, for industry. They come here for the outdoor recreation and the CNO history. So the way that you would balance that, in my opinion, is to just keep that in the forefront and to keep it always, where we're aiming. We're aiming to bring people in to look at all of these things that they're already coming here for. The industry is needed for the local residents, but we can't ever just step over and, push ourselves past and make that something that people can't see anymore.
All right, thank you. Ms. McAnally.
So my turn.
Yes.
So I agree with what everybody has said. But the one thing that I want to start with is, because if we're going to look at our small town character, we need to look at the buildings downtown. Regentrification of some of those buildings would go a long way to helping encourage businesses to come and to fill downtown and to help support the current businesses that are downtown. You look around, there's 2 or 3 businesses downtown. They're gorgeous. The building is beautiful. They've done a great job with the facade. It just looks good. And then there's the other ones, which really detours attracting new businesses and visitors to downtown. I love downtown. I'm a big fan. I'm down there all the time. Courtney is very much right. We've got such a big outdoor presence we've got 2 lakes, we've got 2 rivers, we've got hiking trails in town, we've got hiking trails outside of town, we've got, fishing and boating and riding bicycles, and we just do it all. And then on top of that, we have the races that we have. So outdoor activities is a huge thing. So if dragging in a new business downtown that maybe supports some of our outdoor activities would be wonderful. And I think, in my opinion, we need to encourage that type of a business to come downtown, because we've got we have restaurants coming, which is wonderful. We have restaurants here that are very good. We all go to them. So we're really lucky to have that. But I think if we could just bring in a different mix of businesses to the downtown area, but until we can fix the buildings downtown to make them as beautiful as we think they are, that's my take.
Well, thank you. And then how would you balance new economic development with preserving Clifton Forge's small town character?
So one of the big things we would have to use is the draw of our small town to bring in those businesses and make sure that any business coming to our town understands it really is a hand in hand. I moved to this town because of the town. I drove through this town, came down Ridgeway, and before I got to Main Street, I told my daughter, I'm buying a house here, okay? And it was driving through town, I knew nothing about this town. Absolutely nothing. I'd never been here, nothing. But it's because of the character of this town. So what we need to do with businesses is encourage them to understand that our character of town is one of the reasons they need to come.
All right, thank you. All All right, starting with Mr. Washington. Allegheny County faces ongoing needs for improvements in infrastructure from roads and sidewalks to broadband and public safety. What specific priorities would you push for and how would you help secure funding?
Well, I have actually made it to the third level on a grant for a large solar project that I was trying to bring to Clifton Forge. I made it to the third, I guess, stage on that, and then the funding ran out, so I was advised to kind of reach back out and check on that. So I do know the grant writing process fairly well, actually. I filled out quite a few, got quite a few responses, but do me one favor, repeat that question one more time.
I got you. Allegheny County faces ongoing needs for improvements in infrastructure, from roads and sidewalks to broadband and public safety. What specific priorities would you push for and how would you help secure funding?
Okay, so we are in a predicament slightly with the federal government choosing how it disperses its funds and where it goes to and whatnot. So fortunately, we're still running off of some of the previous administration's capital that it dispersed throughout, and that actually included infrastructure. So I'm not sure how much of that, I'm not sure how much of that is still available, but I would look into that. Also, there's funds, I guess, on the books, capital already at the fingertips, ready to be delegated and allocated to certain infrastructure needs. Our pipes is one of the biggest infrastructure needs, technically, for plumbing and good clean water, also drinking water, also whatnot. I guess that's included in plumbing, but yes. So yes, ma'am. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I mean, it's tax dollars that you have to reach out, ma'am, and procure in order to do the things that you need to do. And indeed, I guess I will not have no choice but to advocate from all the resources that we can garner to indeed address the issues, and the issues can only be addressed with capital. So yes, ma'am. I look forward to working with the federal government, state, and yes, allocating funds and acquiring funds so we can get to work on repairing and revamping our infrastructure, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now follow up on that one. Where would you cut costs to or reallocate funds if the county faces budget shortfalls?
That's a good question. First and foremost, I'm not sure actually. When you think about cutting costs, it's something that you kind of can't. What is it? What's the word for it? Emulate or pretend, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things that the issue's pressing. You got to really look at what's going on and then find yourself accountable and see what's functioning in the best light and what's working best. And then in that case, we would look at a project and or funds not being appropriated correctly would cut itself and find itself deficient, that it would separate itself from the opportunity, actually. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Same to you, Ms. Howard. Of course. Allegheny County faces ongoing needs for improvements in infrastructure, from roads and sidewalks to broadband and public safety. What specific priorities would you push for and how would you help secure funding?
So I think, like we were talking about before, to draw in new people, especially people who want to work in tech and other remote industries, we need to focus on getting the rest of the fiber internet throughout the county. We have fiber internet in town and in the city of Covington. It's, where we have better access, it was already, the structure was in place for that. But further out in the county, they're still rocking AOL basically. They're dialing up to get on their internet and they're having trouble. They don't have cell access. They're not, accessing Wi-Fi as easily. I think we need to worry about making sure that all of the kids, when they leave school, can get home and do homework, and they're not having to try to, do homework on the bus before they hit a dead spot. And I think we need to make sure that, we're in this century when it comes to internet access. That's a huge thing for me, and I think that's a huge thing for drawing in more young people. The roads and all of the other infrastructure, like definitely the water lines. I know that's a big conversation in Clifton Forge, just the water lines. There's always more that we're going to be able to bring up and say that we need to spend money on. I'm gonna go on and address where would I cut anything. I think that it's like Dominique said, you have to wait until you can look at the line items and actually find out where is the money going and where can we look to cut a couple of things. There's nothing off the top of my head that I'm like, oh, we just don't need this in the county. I'm sure there's, many projects that residents are like, oh, that's just something we don't need, but there's always someone who benefits from just about any project. So I wouldn't be comfortable saying like, we just need to cut something altogether.
All right, thank you. Ms. McNally.
So infrastructure. Obviously it's broadband. We can't attract new businesses to our area if we don't have decent computers, services, right? We know that. Roads, we're very lucky. Driving around Clifton Forge, yay, we're getting new roads. They're beautiful. Covington is doing the same thing, so hallelujah. And Dominic is right, our water and sewer lines are as old as I am, or older, which is saying something. So, repairing them, getting them up to date so that we don't have a weekly main break is a big deal. Now, Courtney's right when she's talking about, well, where do we cut? Well, you can't just cut. So you have to look at every line item. You have to see where we're gonna call it fat, where the fat sits, and see if we can get different projects to tighten their belt a little bit to help give us funding for some of these things, right?
All right, thank you, Mr. Brantley.
So I won't say they stole my answer, but the good thing about this campaign, having met the three of these folks along the way, it's been great where we haven't been ugly opponents like some of the other races you may see. But we do tend to agree on a lot of things. So certainly broadband, to me, is important as a career IT person. I think that's very important. And if we're going to attract some of these jobs, as I was talking about before, I think it's one of the things where we would put that priority. Obviously, like we mentioned here, the pipes, the roads, I think it would be better if we can address some of these things, kind of get out ahead of them, look at them and get them fixed before they become an issue. Some of these local bridges that we've seen lately have really been bad, and I think everyone who's not an engineer could see it before it got to that point. So addressing things before they are a problem would be great, and I think would help us save in the long run. The second part of that question, again, agreeing with all the others, without seeing the budget itself, it's kind of hard to pick one thing, but I think as opposed to cutting, it would be better to shuffle the priorities, to move things up, put some things a little lower in priority that can wait a little longer, as opposed to cutting it, just delaying it perhaps, and moving the things up that need it most.
All right, thank you. All right, over to Ms. Howard. As a write-in candidate, you are asking voters to trust you outside the usual party or ballot structure. How will you ensure transparency, accessibility, and regular communication with the citizens you represent?
So the Board of Supervisors is a nonpartisan seat, so the party system doesn't apply to this. But personally, I'm always available. I have my phone number out there. I have a Facebook page. I have an email address that everyone can reach. I'm happy to talk to anyone about any problem that they're having in the county, whether they're a Clifton Forge West resident or if it's someone else, further out in the county that isn't necessarily one of my constituents. I think as long as we have open communication, everyone's always a little bit better off.
All right, and there's a follow-up. If elected, how would you work with other supervisors who may not share your views to get things done?
So a lot of people ask me, how can you work with so-and-so? It happens all the time. It's happened throughout Parks and Trails and other committees. I can work with anybody. If we're working toward a common goal, if we're working toward the common good of the county, I can work with anybody. I don't have to be friends with someone. I don't have to like someone. We don't have to get along personally. But, as long as we can be civil and we can talk and we can actually hash out the details of what we're discussing, I can work with just about anybody on the planet, I think.
Oh, well, thank you. Ms. McAnally.
So, as Courtney said, well, this is a nonpartisan seat, so that makes it really simple. We don't have to worry about red and blue and green and purple and polka dotted. What we do have to be concerned about is open communication. And I'm like Courtney, my Facebook page is out there. I don't give out my phone number, but my email address is out there, and I do have a dedicated public Facebook page. And have been fielding questions on that. So that's a big thing. How do we work with people that maybe don't agree with us? We have to use compromise. We have to act like adults, talk out the problems, give our side, listen to their side, right? Because learning is listening as well as speaking. So we have to listen to what is being said and understand that, yes, we may never come to a real common ground, but as long as we can compromise, we can get anything done. I think that's it, right?
All right, works. Thank you, Mr. Brantley.
So with this being my first foray into local politics, I certainly don't consider myself a politician, but do understand that we'll have to work with various parties, just like as we work with the state trying to get grants. We have a governor's race coming up right now, and things could change. It could stay the same as far as which party's in power. So absolute willingness to work with any and all. And can you repeat the second question?
The second question was just, how would you work with other supervisors who may not share your views to get things done?
Of course. And to follow up on the second part of the first question, just how would reach the constituents. So that's been a part of this process for me is meeting people and getting out there. I've been on the road for so many years and don't know a ton of people, so I've just enjoyed the process of meeting people and starting to get out there, put my name out there. So I feel like I'm approachable and available. With your follow-up question, in my years as a consultant, I've been kind of tasked with being on some of the more difficult projects with more difficult people because I am pretty stable. I'm not confrontational. I can look at a goal and work with people and try to get it done and don't deal with office politics or politics beyond, and just willing to work with anyone, like they said, to reach a common goal and just find the best solution for our area, whatever the problem may be.
Thank you. Mr. Washington, how will you ensure transparency, accessibility, and regular communication with the citizens you represent?
Okay, first I would include that there be a community engagement on most of the issues. We're very thankful for the Chamber of Commerce and Clifton Forge for establishing such community engagement such as this right here. I would also use the fact that, okay, run that back for me one more time.
How will you ensure transparency, accessibility, and regular communication with the citizens you represent?
Oh, okay, awesome. Yes, ma'am. And I also included the fact that I would like to incorporate some type of community service app, just because I noticed through my kid, she was at school and she tried to drink some water and she wasn't aware that the water was off when she tried to do so. And then it brought to my attention that, wow, it would be kind of cool if kids and everybody kind of get a little service announcement, a little service alert. And then indeed through that form of communication or in the television. But yes, ma'am, I actually, ma'am, am a fan of a real democracy where all policy is voted on and then pushed forward by the number of votes that turn out, ma'am. So I would seek the community to be fully engaged and indeed seek consensus from the people. And then with that leverage, I would use that leverage, ma'am, against the people on the board. Thank you.
All right, and then the follow-up for that one is, if elected, how would you work with other supervisors who may not share your views to get things done?
I would use that leverage. Ma'am, people can be difficult sometimes, and sometimes you don't know if they got a real meaning behind it or not. And being pleasant, being open to engagement, being transparent with the people that you're engaging with to move the needle forward, leaving nothing off the table when you're having your conversations, putting the difficult stuff on the table first. yes, you know what I'm saying? I believe that if you engage in the conversation openly and honestly, the dialogue will move the needle, and therefore policy will be implemented and things will change. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Next question, starting with Ms. McNell. As one of only 2 representatives on the Board of Supervisors, how do you plan to strongly advocate for the citizens of Clifton Forge?
Well, that's an easy question. Because in my opinion, if the delegates from Clifton Forge work together as a team, then we can have a bigger impact on the county across the board. Now, we're really lucky because if you've noticed, we're all really friendly and we're friendly with each other. So I think that it wouldn't matter which one of us made it to the board. I think that as long as we continue this relationship that we have developed while running for the board, that we would be able to kind of, I hate to say push our agenda because that makes it really sound mean and nasty and pushy, but we would be able to bring our agenda forward, maybe in a stronger manner.
All right, thank you. Mr. Brandon.
So that's one of the reasons I wanted to run. As we work with the Board of Supervisors, I don't want our town to be left out or forgotten. I think some of the focus sometimes is on the west end of the county, and I don't want Clifton Forge to be left out. And again, I mentioned it to Jerry when I talked to the Allegheny Journal the other day, that I think that not only working together within the Board of Supervisors, but working with the other governing bodies in the area, working with Clifton Forge Town Council, with Covington, and not working in silos, but working together for the betterment of the county instead of trying to just come up with our own solution and having multiple solutions for one problem. If we work together, I think we can make it better for everyone.
All right, thank you, Mr. Washington.
One more time.
All right. As one of only 2 representatives on the Board of Supervisors, how do you plan to strongly advocate for the citizens of Clifton Forge?
With good policy and being open to the people and what they are seeking from the community and what they want to see in the community that they live in. Some of their ideas being heard and maybe even implemented. So yes, I don't know kind of how to run it back one more time. Let's see if it sounds different when you.
As one of only 2 representatives on the Board of Supervisors, how do you plan to strongly advocate for the citizens of Clifton Forge?
All right, indeed then, yes ma'am, it would take the unity through the number game. So yes, getting the people on the board, but yes ma'am, and then indeed from there, we can get the numbers swayed, and like I said again, maybe working with the transparency part on gaining that unity, because yes ma'am, we needed the consensus amongst the east and west candidates for all of the representation garnered from those 2, and then yes, from there it is the numbers game to get the people swayed, and then indeed be informative and engage with the people before you close out on any idea or implementation of anything.
All right.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Howard? Yes. As one of only 2 representatives on the Board of Supervisors, how do you plan to strongly advocate for the citizens of Clifton Forge?
So I think, as we've all said, just having the 2 representatives work together to try to reach more common goals for Clifton Forge. I think also having a great working relationship with the town itself. I currently work with the town for Parks and Trails. I think as long as we're open and we have direct communication with the citizens so that we know what they want, what they're excited about, what they don't want to happen, and as long as we're able to communicate with the town and with any of the other public entities within our area, I think that we can advocate for what we really and truly need in this area. I think it's going to be a difficult numbers game. Because the rest of the board is pretty well established. They've all been on there for a while, and they all pretty much vote the way that they've traditionally voted. But I think as long as it's, for the good of the entire county, for the good of Clifton Forge, I think we should be able to advocate well enough that we can convince the other board members of, having our interests at heart as well.
All right, thank you. Mr. Brantley. If elected, how do you plan to be active in civic meetings and understand the needs of Clifton Forge residents?
I'm sorry, active in?
Civic meetings.
So again, that's part of my plan is being more active, being more engaged, participating in as many local meetings and things as possible. And we'll engage in that and again, working to get our names out there to ensure that we are taken care of as a town, as part of the county structure itself. And I think that we can continue to work that forward. And like Courtney said, though the numbers are a bit established, I don't like the thought of doing things the same way just because that's the way we've always done it. I think we can move forward by having some new ideas and trying to get some new plans in place.
All right, thank you. Mr. Washington, if elected, how do you plan to be active in civic meetings and understand the needs of Clifton Forge residents?
Okay. Excuse me. If you run it back one more time.
Mm-hmm. If elected, how do you plan to be active in civic meetings and understand the needs of Clifton Forge residents?
Well, I mean, I plan on representing us with ideas and things that we can find consensus on rather than just voting for what comes across the table from some people coming through town or with an agenda for the town. Yes, I think honestly, I have ideas. I have things that can better our town, can better our county, and for those things, those are the reasons and the things that I feel would be great as talking points and implemented in any civic engagement and any time that we're seeking to engage with anyone on what we're trying to do.
All right, thank you. Ms. Howard? Yep. If elected, how do you plan to be active in civic meetings and understand the needs of Clifton Forge residents?
So this is gonna sound glib, but I'm already at all of the civic meetings. I'm already coming to all the community gatherings and all of the town council meetings, and I try to be at everything that there is because I wanna know what's going on and I want to talk to people and hear their opinions. I think that we could always do better about listening to what other people want and need. I think there are ways to hold like office hours, even if it's by Zoom, or just to have certain times that like the East and West person are both available to take phone calls. Just to have, a direct open line of communication so that people can let us know what it is that they're interested in.
All right, thank you. Ms. McAnally.
So I'm fortunate enough to be retired, so I have lots of time on my hands. I'm like Courtney. I've got my fingers in lots of pies around town and the county because I wanted to meet people when I moved here. So I joined every volunteer thing I could find to join. So I do a lot of that, right? So I'm already, I attend most of our meetings, usually online because I don't drive at night very often. I have bad eyes, y'all. Anyway, it's terrible. Communicating with residents, well, that's easy. If you are out and about and you're attending all of these meetings, people who have issues or concerns or they're frustrated about something, they show up at the town meeting, they show up at the county meeting. And if you make it known that you're willing to come early and talk to them or stay late and talk to them, you can talk to people. You talk to people in Kroger. You talk to people in our new coffee shop. You talk to people sitting in Miss Livy's house or in Miss Livy's shop, because I did that today, or yesterday. You can talk to people anywhere. You just have to be open and be willing to talk to people about what's going on.
All right, thank you. All right, so we are going to take each of you are going to wrap up, make final comments. You have a minute each. Just any message, anything you want to say. We're going to start with Mr. Washington.
How you all doing? I am Dominique Washington, the Clifton Forge native my whole life. I would appreciate if you all would write me in as your representative for the Clifton Forge East District. There's a lot of things I've been working on for a very long time, and I look to implement them, from farm to table resources for our local kids and our town, and our schools, public schools, to supporting clean energy and clean infrastructure ideas, to also implementing financial literacy that'll help our youth and young men and young women to better actually appreciate a town. And if we wanted to strengthen downtown, I think the capital and the youth's pockets and people's pockets spending and move frolicking around town might be a good idea. So yes, I'm looking to incorporate some policy and agenda ideas from the bottom that will rise to the top for every individual. Thank you.
Thank you. Salary.
So I just want to say, I really don't think you could make a bad choice this time around. I think that we all really agree on so many topics. I think everyone has a lot of community experience. I think people have a lot of business experience. I think no matter what happens in this election, I think Clifton Forge is going to be better off this time around after November 4th. I just want to remind everyone that there are 2 districts. I've had a lot of people saying that, hey, I voted for you, but they're in Clifton Forge East. So I'm in Clifton Forge West, and everyone else is in Clifton Forge East, so make sure you mark the bubble as a write-in and then fill in the name and make sure you're picking the person for the correct location. If you're voting at the Armory, that's me. If you're voting at the Firehouse, these are your candidates.
All right, thank you. Ms. McNally?
Okay, so like everybody else here, I have a graduate degree. I have a master's degree in nursing administration. I have a minor in business. I have a daughter in Hot Springs. I'm not going anywhere. I retired here on purpose. I want to be part of this community. I want to see this community be exactly what this town wants it to be. And the only way I get to do that is if I help to work towards that. So many people are so busy. I mean, life gets in the way. So I don't have that problem. You know, I get to be out there doing, and I am a kind of a go-getter doing that. I'm a retired college professor, for those of you who don't know, as well as being a nurse for 50 years, almost 48 years this year. So, all that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brantley.
So what I'll say is the entire reason I'm doing this is for this town, this county, city of Covington, this whole area that we live in. My only interest is the betterment of the area and the people in it. And my approach will be going forward that I understand when I walk in the room, I don't know everything there is to know, but I have the humility to look you in the eye and say, I do not know. But I also have the willingness to go get an answer, have the ability to learn and understand and help to fix the problem.
All right, thank you. All right, that concludes all of our questions. I would like to thank all of our candidates for showing up tonight, answering, getting up on this stage in front of all of you guys. I would like to thank all of our volunteers, the community gathering committee, and all of you guys for showing up. Remind your friends, remind your family, everyone you know, to go vote. Just get out there and vote who you think would be the best fit for you. All right, that's it for me. Mr. Dodd is not here tonight. He was unable to make it. He is also a representative for West. So make sure you check out his page as well to get fully informed. On behalf of the committee, y'all don't have to stay back there. We hope you have enjoyed this evening and that you've learned a lot about our candidates. I'm going to echo what Ms. Howard said, what Courtney said, is I don't think there's a bad choice up here. Just remember which district you're in. These are their names again. You will have to write in their first and last name. You won't be able to just choose a box to
to check. And I think they're gonna be out here in the audience, right? Is that the plan? For you to talk with and speak to, and if you have other questions, you can ask that of the candidates. Oh, Beth Macy's gonna be here. Yeah, I was here last time she was here. She's really good. This is her new book. I haven't read her last book. I read her first book. So is this her third? I'm way behind. But she's gonna be here October 23rd. Come on out, 7 o'clock. It'll be a good evening. We good? Okay. Oh, I was late. Can you tell that I was late getting here tonight and don't know what's going on? Our November gathering, yes. We are going to have an evening of thankfulness, and we're going to have some folks from the Boy Scouts here, hopefully maybe the Girl Scouts, and also Boys Home. So ways our organizations benefit our community. And these would be some folks who have put in a lot of time and effort into their organizations that benefit the community. There's an old saying in Boy Scouts, it only takes an hour a week. Okay, if you get it, you get it. It only takes an hour a week. So come on out in November and join us for our November community gathering. I will never be late again.
You go first. Are you done?
Oh, there's food. There's going to be food in November.
We just wanted to announce that Greg Dodd was planning on being here, but he wound up in the hospital. So his appearance here was, not being here was unavoidable, and just wanted everybody to understand that. Otherwise, he was coming in, going to participate.
Thank you.